Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back. Be you Clydeside, Stateside, or worldwide, it's time for you all to rise up because we have a very special show. We are back with episode 44 now of the Scottish Falcons. And I'm joined, as always, by my co-host with the most, the Dynamo of the team, Des Stevenson. And let's start off nice before we kind of really get our knuckles into things.
Yeah.
But how are you feeling first off, Des?
Yeah, good. Obviously, a lot of things in place. Let's just say the last week in X has been enjoyable. So I am going to say one thing. Nobody's died. All right. So effectively, we're going to have a comment. We're going to have opinions, and we, as I've always said, if I feel that there's anything that I think that the Atlanta Falcons are doing that's going to have an impact badly on my team, I'm going to say. What I would say is that effectively we've got everything in place. We've got our new head coach, which let's hope will, in a year or two from now, we're all having a laugh about how divided and how opinionated and probably effectively, let's hope we all laugh about the way we were with the Kevin Stefanski hire when he takes us to the promised land. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, and I mean, if you want to talk about dysfunction, he's left a whole new level of dysfunction behind. Because I mean, let's not even. We will. I'm sure we will over the course of the show, but I don't want to throw Cleveland under the bus too much just yet. But we'll get into all that good stuff. But before we do, as always, we like to put the love back out to you guys. It's good to always see you on here before we are. So shout out to our Celtic brother Floyd. Rise up, lads. The future is bright. We certainly hope so. We're going to try and give you both sides of it tonight, though, because, as I say, it's the old social media has been, in a word, fun. We could get a bit more colourful with our language, but we did promise to work on that. So, and obviously, as I say, for the guys, give the guys a wee bit of time to get in. Shout out to Tony as well. Let's get Falcons set. Love the fact that they're getting the new tagline in there, Des. I think we're making it stick.
Absolutely. Again, as Floyd says, I mean, the future is bright because, as you said, I think it wasn't working the way it was. I mean, again, we'll go into it, but you look at the awards and what's getting handed out at the end of this season. And there's 3 Atlanta players that are in there, and we couldn't even get a winning record. So that effectively shows you that there needed to be a change. And what I would say is probably the biggest part, the part where I'm more confident is the fact that Matt Ryan was there, and that Matt Ryan effectively made this decision. He doesn't do anything rash. And that's probably where I've got my confidence. I've got my confidence in Matt Ryan more than anything else in any of the appointments. So let's hope it's going to be bright. Let's hope it's going to be positive. What I would say is that the appointment has got the Falcons fans quite split. That there is a lot of people questioning it, and there is a lot of people that are effectively all in. Now, I'm going to say, I hope and I pray that Kevin Stefanski does take us to the promised land. But what I would say is, if there's anybody out there that have got doubts, then that's fine. I was looking at Clint Kubiak, and I'm pretty sure that if we'd have took Clint Kubiak on, then there was going to be doubts there because he's never been a head coach before. So anybody that out there that says that appointing a head coach is a guarantee, nothing's guaranteed. This could be phenomenal. It could be horrendous. It's the Atlanta Falcons. We just don't know. You know what I mean? But What I will say is we are open to all opinions. We are open to all opinions. Whatever you feel, if you think that Kevin Stefanski is the best thing since sliced bread, then say it. If you have any doubts, you won't be attacked for it. We won't question it. The full Falcons fans, we're all passionate. We want what's best for this team. And effectively we went from Arthur Smith, who was a failure. We then went to Raheem, who was a failure. That's 5 years. And then you look at effectively the last probably 2 or 3 years of Dan Quinn. I mean, we're hitting a decade where without playoff appearances and that, so we are going to be doubtful. We are going to question everything that's happened because it's the last 10 years. It's not been right. So
yeah, couldn't agree with you more there, and I feel like that was a wonderful sentiment as well, Des. Like, we can't make it clear enough that yes, there will be certain people or certain parties within the Falcons community who want to take their narrative and dictate that it's the only narrative. I'm going to tell you here, as someone who's been doing this for 3.5 years now, that you're going to be wrong. As a fan, as a content creator, you're going to be wrong a lot. And what you need to do is you need to have broad shoulders and realise that it really ain't that deep. At the end of the day, we understand that it all comes from a place of passion, and as such, that's why it's such a pleasure for us to do these shows and also to provide a platform for you guys to come on, have your say, have a little bit of a laugh and a joke with us as well. But at the end of the day, it's something that we're going to close the show up with as well. But we would like solidarity here. We'd like to obviously say that obviously we didn't have a choice. None of us had a choice in who the head coach was going to be. But all we can really do now is double down and support him, support this new GM, whoever that's going to be. And we're going to break down some of the candidates as well. I can see some of you guys down in the chat. Georgia, Texas boy as well, just basically saying about Cunningham, Weidel and so on. We're going to break some of that stuff down. Can also see a great question here saying a comment rather from C. Duttlinger saying Stefanski's going to run a lot of 12 personnel, which I love. 2 wide receivers, 2 tight ends, and Bijan. We're going to run and play action all day. And it's interesting that you should say this. And I don't often like to shout out the enemies, but I was watching Cam Newton last night in regards to beating quarters, which is what you basically call when you have a nickel. Your Sam backer is essentially your nickel back. You can interchange that, but cover 4. And it's ways to exploit that and all that good stuff. The best way to do that seems to be from 21 personnel, but you can still do it through 12 as well. And I know from what I've seen as well from Avian's video as well, so shout out to Avian, that there's going to be a hell of a lot more adjustment. I said to Des not long ago in the private message in Facebook, I sent him, well, at least we might come into games with a plan B now, which will be refreshing compared to obviously Zach Robinson. So, but I'm glad that he's off the books. He's Tampa Bay's problem now. But I mean, how are you feeling about the offensive scheme that they're bringing over, Des? Let you get into that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, when he was again, we'll discuss it. When he was appointed, I was quite. I mean, I had said last Saturday in our show that he was probably my third choice. And when he was appointed, I thought, well, I mean, you just look at his record now. What I would say is I put, and I'm going to call this out, I put a tweet up on X, or an X up on X, whatever you have to call it. And I had said that forget the circumstances. His record in the last 2 years was 8-26, right?
Yeah.
Now, I wasn't, the point I was trying to make was the fact that just about every Atlanta Falcons fan was screaming that Raheem Morris had a losing record. And we then appoint a head coach that's got a losing record. So
yeah, I'm going to pull that up just while you're speaking, Des, because I mean, even when you break it into percentages, it gets even more apparent. So there you are, side by side. Raheem Morris, 16 and 18. I'm going to take the comment off so you guys can see that there. So 8 and 26 would be 23.5% as opposed to 47% for Coach Morris. So as I say, you can get into this now if you like, Des. But I know that some people weren't too happy with you flagging this up. But I'll let you go just while I let Big Will get in the building as well.
So effectively, the way what I was looking at and how I was, again, I'm quite a vocal person. I'm quite a vocal person. I like saying it. I'm a salesman. I've always been a salesman, so I can say it in words. When you actually ask me to put what I say down in a tweet, it always doesn't. It's never the same. Now, what I was saying is that if we're then, and again, I had quite a lot of pushback on that circumstances. Now, we all know that the Cleveland Browns it's a dumpster fire. We understand that. It's a dysfunctional franchise, right? But if we're then, and again, I had a lot of people saying, oh, yeah, as soon as you say take the circumstances out, I was out on it. And again, for me, the way I look at it is if we want to go down that line, then we've effectively if you look at Raheem Morris has been let go, and he's a playoff head coach, because if we're taking circumstances into position, then he was only two good field goal kicks away from us going to the playoffs. So when I talk about taking circumstances out, I don't think there's an Atlanta Falcons fan, maybe 1 or 2%, who didn't say that Raheem Morris going was the best decision, right? But when I then question it and I say, right, Stefanski, right, take the circumstances out. We know it's a dumpster fire, and we know they had I think, and again, it's always good when you make the point at that time, and then you hear that literally in the last 2 or 3 seasons he's had 13 quarterbacks. Now, yeah, you're not going to have a good offensive scheme and have a good offense if you're going through 13 quarterbacks. I understand that, but if we're not taking the circumstances out, then we've just fired a playoff head coach, and that was what I was trying to say. Raheem Morris effectively, if Young Waku had kicked that field goal against Tampa Bay, and then I think Parker Romo missed one. I think was that against New England Patriots. I'm not sure. If they 2 field goals go in, we've got a 10-7 record, and we're going to the playoffs.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But what
I know what you mean.
But what upsets me is that in this fan base, you either have to be all in or out. And all I was doing is I was questioning that we had appointed a head coach that in the last 2 years had literally a record of 8 wins and 26 losses. Now again, it's the way to look at it is, he's had coach of the year 2 years. He took Cleveland Browns, who are a dysfunctional franchise, to 11 wins in 2 seasons. He's got a better win record than Bill Belichick. That was at the point where I get lost on it. You know what I mean? It's like, effectively, I don't really care anymore now. Kevin Stefanski is here. He's the Atlanta Falcons head coach. I'm at the point now where I don't care what he done in the Cleveland. You know what I mean? I'm now at a point where I've viewed my opinion, and I've said that it's, as I say, like any head coach appointment, it's a big risk. Every head coach appointment is a big risk. But for people to effectively attack you because you question a head coach with an 8-26 record getting appointed, and the team that you love it's bad play as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and that's a great segue, because when you want to talk about all in, this guy below us is as diehard as they come. So we didn't expect it, but yeah, a special guest for you and a little bit of a willpower hour for you, because it's my brother Big Will, the Georgia Reaper, is here to join us tonight. How you feeling, Will?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Doing good, brother. How are you feeling about this whole Stefanski thing? Because I've got a couple of comments here just asking, obviously, how long do we
Well,
give it? And I mean, as you say,
I
I'll
hear
let you tackle that first, Will.
I hear what Brother Dez was talking about the last 2 seasons, but what we got to think about when Raheem took over this team, he pretty much was handing the keys to a Ferrari, and all he
Yeah,
had to do was get the right driver, and he was all right. You know what I'm saying? He said this team was a quarterback away. He went and got two quarterbacks, and we still was only able to win 8 games. Man, if you would have gave Arthur Smith this roster that he had, Arthur Smith would have had us in the playoff both years.
Mm,
That's the thing. Arthur Smith won 7 games with pretty much five below players, like going to five below or Family Dollar. He won us 7 games with those type players.
mm,
The thing about Stefanski, as we seeing coming out more and more over these last couple of days, the Browns are a dumpster fire the way they
yeah,
running it up there. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? And like when he first came in, he had a plan. He took them to the playoffs. His first year. We forget Baker Mayfield was on the verge of being a bust before he got there. The first 2 years Baker Mayfield was in Cleveland, they was already considering him a bust. He got there in 2020. He took them to the playoffs. They won a playoff game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, who was hot at the time. So we got to think circumstances make a big difference in situations also. And
mm.
what we got to do, we was very happy when they hired Matt Ryan in his position. What we got to do, we got to trust that Matt Ryan did his homework. We got to
yeah.
trust that Matt Ryan gave you know what I'm saying, the tough questions in the interview to find out what happened in Cleveland. What really went on in Cleveland? Did they allow you
Yeah,
to do your job?
I
Were
mean,
they, you know what I'm saying? Were they
yeah.
just giving
yeah,
you it just like, but then we got to think about another thing.
I
One
mean,
man
well,
trash is another man's treasure also.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah.
this might have been
And with
Cleveland
that being
Browns.
said, like one thing that does make me kind of question things is, and not give me cause for alarm, but certainly cause for concern would be, I'm not 100% sure who was calling some of those plays in Cleveland last season. And I've said to Des in the chat, and I've said to anyone that will hear it, that I don't want to have essentially a boys get your rulers out kind of moment on the sideline. That's not what I'm here for. You're here as an offensive coordinator. You're here as a head coach. Like whatever went on in Cleveland went on in Cleveland. You have more talent here than probably you could have hoped for. Um, Obviously, when it
Right.
taking the QB situation off the table, but you
That's
know
what I
what I'm
want the
saying, guys.
fan base to get over. I want the fan base to get over that. I want them to think about he got more talent than he ever had in Cleveland.
Oh, 100%.
and
Please forget about the last 2 years he had in the Browns. That's gonna be on his record for sure, yes. But forget about the last 2 years he had there. Forget about the Shadur Sanders situation because we found out that wasn't true. He had a certain game plan laid out for all his quarterbacks that he had.
that's right. Yeah,
And even
Yep.
though Shadur Sanders wasn't the starter, he set aside time to get this man up to date on the offense. So let's try to forget about all that. Stop saying that he's racist. The man coached 5 different black quarterbacks in his career at the Browns. That don't sound like a racist quarterback. Coach to me. But
No.
stop using all these side notes and all, man. Just sit, relax, and let Matt Ryan do what he was hired to do. Trust
well,
that
Yep.
we. Go ahead,
yeah.
Dad.
Well, what I would say is if Kevin Stefanski is a racist, he's picked obviously the wrong industry to come into.
Yeah.
Um, that, that,
And the
that,
wrong city.
yeah, that's a bit. I mean, I'm pretty sure, and again, if you ask Miles Garrett about Kevin Stefanski, I'm pretty sure it'll be wonderful. It'll be nice words, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I seen a
Right.
clip from one of the games, and you see Miles Garrett standing right behind Kevin Stefanski when he's given the celebration coach chat, and you can see in and again, you look at the leaders in the changing room. That's the ones you look at to see whether they're all in. And effectively, you've seen him nodding and agreeing, and he was behind Kevin Stefanski. Now, if Miles Garrett, I mean, a guy you're not going to mess about with, if he was seeing racism in that locker room and in the practice field, he'd call that out, I'm pretty sure. So
right. Then we got to think about.
And the
They was at the
benefit is
bottom.
yeah,
Go
sorry,
ahead, my
Will.
bad. I thought you were through. Go ahead.
No. Again, the benefit is that effectively, Kevin and Matt can have they can share and effectively Kevin can share with Matt exactly what happened in Cleveland. Words that aren't going to come out into the media or into the public. He can sit down and say to Matt, "This is what happened. That's what's happened." What you got to also remember as well is that the first year that Matt Ryan was away and commentating, he went round. If there was a game that was getting played, he was in that facility. He was going round and touring the teams. So I'm pretty sure he's been in there. He's seen what Kevin Stefanski can do, and he's and effectively how he trains the players behind closed doors. So he's seen all that. So as I said, and Will mentioned that, I said earlier, the good thing from my point of view is that Matt Ryan has made this decision, and I trust Matt Ryan 100%. But and again, the news that have come out from, as Will said, about Cleveland being a mess. I mean, the stuff that's coming out, Mike McDaniel's refused to take an interview. A whole load of head coach potentials are literally not interested. They just don't want to go there. It is a dumpster fire. And as Will said, we've all been in a job where we've worked for somebody who thinks that we're not very good at a job, and then we move to another job and they can't believe how good we are. You know what I mean? We've all been there. So he's my head coach. I support him 1,000%. And that's the way I look at it.
And that's, I'm going to jump on that too. And I mean, speaking not just for ourselves, but for the whole community and city of Atlanta, and not to get political, but the almost regression that the last 5-10 years into where everything has to be about race again. I will make this as clear as I possibly can. I do not give a fuck that Raheem Morris is a black man. He is a failure as a head coach. I don't give a fuck that Kevin Stefanski is a white man. He has been a failure as a head coach, and it's something that I hope he can remedy. At what point should race even enter the conversation? At the end of the day, you pull, no matter what colour your skin is, you pull a red jersey on over that. That's what counts. And that's all I'm going to say.
Honestly,
right.
Honestly, Will, see if an alien come down and it was green with purple polka dots. See if he's got a good offense scheme and he takes us to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, how's your hands?
Hey, that's what I was saying. That's what I was saying on Coach Show, man. I don't care. We can have Bernie. We can have Bernie in here that got on coaching the team. As long as we get wins, I don't give a goddamn, bro. Like, first off, what you got to look at, Cleveland had nothing to play for, and they still was in most of all of their games all year. That tells you a lot about the head coach. They didn't get blew out a lot of games. They was in every game. So, like, and the thing is about, I know a lot of folks thinking about Tommy Rees or whatnot, but you got to go look at the film. If you go look at the film of Tommy Rees play calling last year, he was calling good plays. Your boy Shadur Sanders was holding on to the ball. You had guys running wide open in that offense. Even if Tommy Rees had all this lack of offensive coordinator, all that, he's still 10 times better than what Zach Robinson was putting out there.
Yeah, he has a plan B for a start.
I think that your boy Stefanski gonna call the plays the first year and hand it off to Tommy Rees. But if he does just let Tommy Rees come in and call the plays, he was calling some good plays, dog. It was just Shadur was holding on to that ball. If you go back and watch the film, it's free. Google's there. You can Google whatever you need to Google. It's free stuff. Just go watch the film and pick and look at it with your own eyes. Don't look at it biasly. Just look at it with your own eyes and see guys running wide open in their offense.
Yeah,
The good
that's it,
thing about it,
100%. And I mean, this is something I'd love to get the chance to do with you guys, is sit and really break down the film, because there's a lot of people watching who maybe don't understand some of the X's and O's and the more nuanced eccentricities of the game. So it would be a good chance to do some of that as well.
well, what I would say
and
is
someone as well who I know is film. Sorry, Des, on you go.
Sorry, just going to what Will said as well. All we need we literally at this point need a game manager, a good game manager. That's all we want as a head coach. As Will said, this team has got weapons everywhere, defense, offense. All we need is an adequate head coach. That's all we need. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So Stefanski doesn't have to be like prime Bill Belichick when he took the New England Patriots and built the dynasty. He doesn't need to be this. All he needs to be is adequate time management. You know what I mean? Effectively controlling the I seen a thing today about obviously the how he worked with the quarterbacks and everything. He knows the most important player on that park, and he works with that. That's beneficial. Seemingly, I've heard a lot of players
that's another good example down there too. What they receivers dropped a lot of balls last year too. Jerry Judy was like up there at the top. They dropped balls, so like, and that was their number one wide receiver. So you got to think about the circumstances and all with it too. Just go watch the film. Don't believe everything you hear everywhere else. Just go sit down, watch the film. The film is there. Is free. Just watch it. Just look at it and see what you see. You tell me.
And as you boys say, there's only so much you can get done when Jerry Judy, who is a high band 3, is your number one. There's only so much you can do. But as I say, another special guest and a frequent flyer, because as I say, he tries to get on as much as he can, share time with us, and a huge congratulations as well, because he's just became a new grandfather for the first time. So welcome back. Great to have you on again, Emmanuel.
Yes. Appreciate it. I appreciate it. Yeah, that's the reason why I'm late. And it's been a little time with the grandbaby. You know, everybody's trying to get their turn in, and but y'all know how it is when you got a new face in the house, and it requires a lot of attention. At least I don't know if she wanted it, but she got it. She's gonna be a little spoiled brat, so I'm gonna be broke again.
Oh dear!
Won't be able to buy as many Falcon gear as I want to now. So yeah.
Have you bought the baby some Falcons gear?
Oh, of course. I posted online. Yeah, I posted online. I decorated her baby bottle and her welcome home blanket, and I've already got her decked out and ready. But she's gonna be a Falcon for sure, whether her side of the family like it or not.
Man, well, in Scotland we call that child cruelty.
Maybe I'll look around and see if I can find her a kilt or something that she can wear.
You know what? You should let Maggie know the next generation of the Ladybirds is already in some good hands. So
exactly. That's what I was telling the mom. Like, hey, she's already in good hands. So be bet on it. Yeah, she's in a good place. But
man.
Again, we'll just go back to the thing we were talking about, colour as well. Just one thing I wanted to say. The Lombardi Trophy doesn't care what colour you are.
That's true indeed. That's true indeed.
I mean, doesn't care. And that's all we're interested in. And what I would say is that when you see Matt Ryan talking, he keeps on reiterating about championships. We need to win championships. Yeah. And again, as I said, I questioned the Stefanski choice, but I'm all in. And I have faith in Matt Ryan. I know he knows what it's like to put a championship team together. Yeah. Unfortunately, just at the last quarter, we missed it. But he's seen a championship team, so that's where my faith is.
Yeah, and here's a good point too from our brethren out west in Arizona. Special teams lost us 3 games, so I feel like that's going to be just as important a piece to this coaching carousel is going to be who do you put in charge of the special teams, because that unit last year, when you're devoting, as we said, a quarter of the roster to guys that will be effective on special teams, it didn't make sense after a point. I'm sure you guys will agree.
Well, and that was Raheem Moore's only job, was to clock management and just manage the team, and you failed at that.
Yeah,
we had how many delay of game we had coming out of timeouts? That should never happen.
Yeah.
And it happened to us 2 times, 3 times.
Yeah. Here's what a lot of people are overlooking too. Special teams was made up different. It wasn't just the fact. If you look at the difference between last season's special team and this season, it's almost, I'm not gonna say a total different personnel group, but it was made up different. We didn't have the DeMarco Helms on there. We didn't have Malone on there most of the time because they were trying to preserve.
They made it specialty for the special team coach.
Yeah,
they had guys on there that didn't play no position. You know how you usually set your special teams up, and they usually be backups to a certain position. These guys didn't offer nothing to that position. They were just straight special team guys. So it killed us in the depth perspective of our roster.
Yeah, Felipe Franks, Mike Ford. You know, I mean, there was a lot of players that when this 53-man roster was put together, you specifically looked and said he's been picked for special teams only. And I mean, it was horrendous. It was bad. And as it said, I mean, 3 games, minimum 3 games we lost because of the special teams. So that's probably going to be a crucial appointment. Who we're going to bring in? I don't think we've appointed anybody yet.
I don't think so, no. But I can't remember who it was that said it a couple of shows ago, talking about getting one of the young Lions out of Carolina to do it. Now, not necessarily him, but just I love the idea of giving a young up-and-coming coach the chance.
Yeah.
But again, that could come back to bite us. And but yeah, I'm all for that. As I say, Tommy Rees is still learning his.
I mean,
what the bringing to the game.
The main thing is we've got rid of Zach Robinson, and not only that, we've actually bought them a division rival. You know what I mean? But again, this is the issue when it comes to Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah.
We seen that appointment and we're all thinking, right, okay, you know what's going to happen. He's going to go to the Bucks and their offense is going to be absolutely lights out. You know what I mean? That's just the way we see it. But we didn't see anything from Zach Robinson. The first year wasn't great. This year was horrendous. You know what I mean? So the amount of people that actually put out saying that to all the Bucks fans, I hope you enjoy Pistol.
But here's the things that I found out too. Since we picked up Stefanski, I'm gonna get his name wrong, but Kevin Stefanski. I don't want everybody to be so sold on this guy just because we were so ready to move on from Raheem. And I understand that we were ready to move on from Raheem, but I don't want everybody to think that just because we pick anybody to do it, they are the right person for this job, right? Because for Stefanski, true, we are a better team than the Browns, but we aren't much different in the drama and the problems that he's facing, that he's going to face. We're actually in the same position, if not worse. And I watched 4 hours the other day of Penix. And when I say I watched 4 hours of footage from him, I'm not so sure that he is the answer for our future. And on my next show, I'm gonna piss some people off because there are some things that I noticed during those 4 hours that I didn't notice before because I was so in tune to making him to be the future, the franchise of this quarter. I mean, of this for this team, and I'm not so sold on him anymore. Because of what I saw, and I'm going to share that. But like I said, I'm going to piss some people off because it's not. Like I said, Stefanski is going to face a lot of problems here that he's also was facing up in Cleveland, and he didn't do so well handling those. So, and then on top of that, I'm an old school guy. I've been around for a long time. I judge people on character, right? what he knowledge aside, what he's able to do on the field in the locker room or whatever. I judge character. That's like Raheem. That's why I was so sold on him, because I looked at him as a character. I mean, looked at his character first, but then at the same time, I looked at what he was able to do as a coordinator. That's which is the reason why I said, okay, he may fit in and get the job done for the Falcons. But Stefanski is another story. Then on top of that, the staff that he brought with him, and most people, like most head coaches, are going to say, hey, I'm bringing my team on, I'm bringing my staff on. But because he was able to be bent and keep Jeff Ulbrich, which is not a bad thing, because Jeff Ulbrich is a hell of a coach. He's done a great job here. But most people who believe in their program are going to want to bring their people in to uphold that program. As a head coach, I want you to stand up and say, hey, I don't care how good somebody is. I'm bringing my staff on because I want to see my plan through. I don't want you guys to interfere with that plan. You guys hired me to bring my plan in to make this team better. I'm bringing my personnel on to do it. Now, the fact that he was able to be persuaded to keep Jeff Ulbrich, that is outstanding. I love it, because Ulbrich fits the plan. But at the same time, I don't want my head coach to be bent. I want him to stand firm, stand tall for his team.
Manuel, that's probably one of the red flags that jumps out with me with Stefanski, and is the fact that in the last 2 seasons now, if you're a head coach and you believe in your offensive scheme, you're not going to then midway through the season hand it off to somebody else. You're going to stick to that.
Yeah, exactly.
The biggest issue I've got is that in the last 2 seasons, he's handed off the play calling to his OC. And that worries me a small bit. So effectively, that's a confidence thing for me now. What I would say is that maybe at that point he had maybe gave up in Cleveland. Maybe he's just waiting to get fired. We've all been in that situation where we're in a job we don't like. It's not going to go anywhere, and we just want it to be over with. Maybe it was at that point. We don't know. Maybe this appointment will revigorate him and bring out the 2020 or the 2023 Stefanski.
Absolutely.
But as you talk about character, the fact that he has had to hand over his the play calling and his choice. Now, again, that's a good, from a character point of view, that's a good thing as well, because you can have such an ego that you continue to do the wrong things without making changes.
That's the problem I'm having.
It does see if sorry, mate.
No, sorry, I was just going to say, it's an interesting narrative that you should say that when you're talking about strength of character. I feel like this shows the lack of depth in character to Baker Mayfield. And there's going to be some Bucs fans that are pissed off, but if your quarterback is spending more time thinking about our head coach than your new offensive coordinator, you guys really have bigger problems than what we do.
And see, that's the thing too.
How I feel with it.
And a lot of people are going at Baker Mayfield for that tweet, but at the same time, everybody knows who Baker Mayfield is. Baker Mayfield is nowhere threatened by Stefanski at all. That is not the point. The point is, whatever happened up there in Cleveland, we'll never get the full story. Of course, everybody's going to say Baker Mayfield cried like a baby and didn't get what he wanted.
Well, you already got the full story coming out now.
He said he wanted him.
You got the full story already coming out.
So, but see, here's the thing too. Will, I'm going to cut you off. But when you look at the background of that young lady, I wouldn't put too much stock in it, because something told me when I was listening to her press thing, to research her, and I did that, and I looked back at her background. She is not on the up and up. That's why I always judge people on character first. Outside of your skill level. From the military to my job now. What make you
not like Stefanski though? Besides the last 2 years, what make you not like Stefanski?
What he hasn't proven nothing. Two coaches of the year, not proven playoff appearances. people are saying, hey, he got 2 playoff appearances. That's 2 playoff appearances that we didn't get. That's so be it. We were facing 2 different animals.
2 playoff appearances with the Browns, though. That's a big.
Yeah,
we know how shitty the Browns.
They were
listen,
bad. But at the same time, the only team.
He won Coach of the Year in the AFC North, one of the toughest divisions in football.
Yeah,
he won it twice.
Yeah.
So we can't skip over that because of the bad 2 years he had last time. We got to know the Browns have they tell you how bad the Browns were. The Belichick and Stefanski were the highest winning coaches in their history at the Browns.
Right.
That show you how bad the Browns coaching staff is. If coaches leave there and become better coaches once they leave there, that shows you everything you need to know right there. But that's not what I'm leaning on. That's not what I'm leaning on. I'm leaning on I trust Matt Ryan. I'm trusting Matt Ryan to do his homework, saying that he did his homework before he made his hire.
Yeah.
I'm trusting that he did that.
I'm hoping that it works out. Trust me.
That's what I'm trusting. But what I don't like is people saying, hey, he did Shador wrong. No. Don't pull that Shador shit down here. Deion Sanders don't even claim us until we winning. That's the only time Deion Sanders claim us. Don't pull that Shador shit down here.
And that's a promising sign. I mean, when he comes in here, if he's going to conduct himself in the same manner which he did in Cleveland, then you would suspect that he would still be working with Mike Penix until he comes back from the injury, while he's got the bridge player going, whether it's Kirk, whether it's someone we bring in, draft free agency, whatever. But I'm with y'all boys. I just hope that he can get it all together, because I do love that comment. And I mean, if he can get the Super Bowl in Atlanta, there's a whole lot of fried chicken in your future. I'll say that much.
That's what I'm saying. That's what's gonna cure everything. Winning cure everything. Fans can feel how they want to feel.
Yeah.
Because so he come through and we come around, we mess around, win 11, 12 game. Guess what? You gonna hear birds chirping outside. That's all you gonna hear.
But I'll tell you what though, that's what I want to happen, Will. That's what I want to happen. I want Stefanski to make me put my foot in my mouth. I want him to do that. But now,
I'm not against fans feeling down about this coaching hire, because I understand. You know what I'm saying? So like, what we do know when you hiring coaches, it's always gonna be a flaw anywhere. You're gonna either hire somebody who never been a head coach, or hire somebody who got a losing record as a coach, because somebody with a winning record is not available at this point. You're going to have to trade for a coach with a winning record. We all know that.
Right.
So you're going to have flaws for whoever you hire, period. But the thing is, you got to trust that your front office did their homework, which they did. They got rid of the guy y'all kept talking about. You know what I'm saying? They got rid of him and put Matt Ryan up there. So y'all got to trust that Matt Ryan doing his homework. That's all I'm saying. I don't like when people talking about the Shador. No, this man is not a racist. He had 5 quarterbacks that was black in Cleveland.
Look, I'm not. That's the last one. I've heard those reports too, and I've seen a lot of content on it. And that's the last thing I'm going to label him as. And that's why I said I'm weighing on his character. I'm not. It's not. Even if he was a racist, I could care less if he was. But at the same time, it's fairness. You know, is he going to make the right decision that's going to be better for Atlanta?
Right.
When I look at the whole
Falcons, not
picture
the
of
city, not the city. Exactly. Better for the Falcons. Right.
Well, and the thing is, he got to make the right decision for Atlanta too, because even now they're still talking about moving the Falcons to out of Atlanta. So we don't want to give them ammunition to say, hey, the fans are not appreciating the Falcons, so let's move them out of Atlanta. I don't want that to happen again.
Right, that's what I'm saying. They complain so much about what Arthur Blank doing. You don't want him to be like, okay, shit, I go out there to call with the Braves.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll go out there with them or something. Like, come on, y'all don't want him to do that. Like,
or even further up north.
Everything y'all saying about, like, you want black this, black that. Come on, bro.
Yeah.
You ain't got to be.
And here's the thing as
nobody
well,
black to win.
But again,
got to be black to win, bro.
Well, I'll jump in on that. We effectively had a black head coach, we had a black GM. If you're a real Atlanta Falcons fan, I don't really care. I mean, literally, you take me to the Super Bowl, you can shoot a puppy on air, live on air, and I'll still support you. I don't care. Just give me the Super Bowl. I don't care. With color here, I just want to win. And that's a good point down there. Can you put that up there? What Tony put down there?
Yeah, just let me have a look there. Tony.
Got it, man.
Yeah.
You remember how them people was in the uproar when we hired Jeff Holbrook?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, I actually welcome that. I actually wanted the Falcons to go a step further since we brought in Jeff Ulbrich. I wanted them to go a step further and go get Robert Saleh and make it a reunion here.
Yeah,
I wanted
that
that so bad.
Don't
They
say
were.
that.
You talk about turning around.
Yeah,
If you guys think, listen, if you think Stefanski and Rees turned around the Browns, what they did in New York, if Aaron Rodgers did what he was supposed to do, if Aaron Rodgers did what he was supposed to do, the Jets would not be in the place where they are now. But Robert Saleh and Jeff Ulbrich single-handedly turned the Jets around. Defense-wise,
the thing is, what you saying there too? What was Robert Saleh record with the Jets?
It's not about record. It's what they turned around.
I'm asking this for a reason. What was his record?
It was two. It wasn't a good record. He only had 1 or 2 games in this game.
So that's two coaches that had losing records, right?
Here's the thing.
Coaches that would have had losing records.
But you got to remember what they gave up. You got to remember what they gave up. They gave up to the point where they did not have a single veteran, a single Pro Bowler on that team. They gave them up, whether it was draft picks or whether it was trade. They gave up in New York, and that's the reason why it did not work out. But when Jeff Ulbrich and Robert Saleh took over, that defense turned around and had 3 Pro Bowlers in 1 season come off that defense, and we got that now. We got that.
And the Browns are the same. I mean, they nerfed 3 years worth of first-round picks, if you recall. So, I mean, if you want to talk about how hard the situation he had in Cleveland, then giving away first rounds for not a lot of capital is not going to help either.
Well, the issue I had with Jeff Ulbrich was I just felt as if Raheem Morris was bringing in it was like a pals act. He was bringing in his pals. He completely, he completely proved me wrong, and I hope Kevin Stefanski does the same. As I said before you come on, nobody can. I question. From my point of view, you can't be attacked by questioning an appointment of a coach that went 8-26 the last 2 years. You can't. Now, what I would say is the positive of all this is the fact that coming from the Cleveland Browns, coming to Atlanta Falcons, and the press and the media, it's going to be a breeze. Kevin Stefanski's going to think he's in Disneyland when it comes to Atlanta, because all he really needs to worry about is the Orlando Ledbetter. That's the biggest worry he's got. You know what I mean? I think the media here is a wee bit more understanding. I don't think they're. Sometimes I think they're too easy with the head coach, but I would rather have that than have the way it is in Cleveland. You know what I mean? So,
but I think. Like with the media, I forgot the reporter there that has started giving our staff a hard time now, because he's a diehard Falcon fan too, and he's starting to ask the right questions when it comes to these press conferences, and that's why they save him like toward the ends, because he asked the right question that put our coaches on and players on the spot when it comes to asking these. I forgot his name. I wish I could remember his name, but he does a great job. And getting these guys to coming out of that cliche-ish answering the right question, giving the right answers. The question that he asked,
Mark Zeno,
the big guy, the big white guy.
Zeno ain't no big. Yeah, he ain't big. He ain't big.
Yeah. But this guy here, he makes these guys stand up and hold accountability and answer the question that the fans want to hear. We don't want to hear.
When we look at the tail of the tape, of Robert Saleh, he was 20-36 in his 4 years. Up there. His 5 years up there, whatnot.
He
never had a winning record at the Jets. Never. The most wins he had was 7. So
I think Auntie Pam makes a great point there too. I think the problem with Salah was that he would have wanted to call a lot of his own plays. That would then sort of mean that Ulbrich would be sort of surplus to requirement, but the wins haven't necessarily been there to the level where you'd like them to be to make that choice. So I can see.
The positive from my point of view is it's an offensive head coach. That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
When you listen to since his appointment, you listen to a lot of people talking. They say that effectively his scheme and Clint Kubiak's scheme is they're exactly the same. Which is, I mean, and again, if you're Matt Ryan and you're looking at Clint Kubiak, who's never had a head coaching role, you then look at Stefanski, who is literally, I mean, I would probably say apart from maybe New York, Cleveland is probably the worst and the hardest and the toughest city to actually be a head coach of a football team.
Yeah.
So he's looked at that and thought, right, Clint Kubiak, no head coaching role before. The scheme's effectively the same. The other thing that everybody has to look at as well is, and we maybe talk about it later, is Kevin Stefanski coming in and the fact that in 2019 he was around Kirk Cousins. Is there a possibility that Kirk Cousins stays on with Atlanta and effectively becomes the quarterback? We don't know how long Michael Penix is going to be injured. You heard Manuel saying that he's watched the tape and he's not convinced that Michael Penix is the real deal. I would probably go the opposite and say I think it was more on the calls and the play calls that Zach Robinson was calling. I think Zach, again, we questioned this in quite a few of our shows. Zach Robinson was calling plays, assuming that Michael Penix had been in the league for 10 years.
Yeah.
He literally was calling plays for a veteran quarterback, forgetting that Michael Penix was still in the game number, was still a rookie. It was still his first year, really. That was, and I honestly believe that. And the positive is Kevin Stefanski tends to have a simplified system for the quarterback. Is what Michael Penix Jr. needs. Michael Penix Jr. effectively has to be not mollycoddled, but he needs to be helped rather than some of the play calls that I've seen Zach Robinson call. Literally. Michael Penix, we're going to call a play and I want you to batter it 50 yards down the field. Jake London will be there somewhere. I mean, it was ridiculous. And again, that's the other benefit of Matt Ryan as well. I actually seen Matt Ryan talking about Michael Penix, talking about how they need to get away from these big play calls, expecting Michael Penix to batter the ball down the field. And again, that's only what I would say is we're going to find out if Michael Penix Jr. is a real deal, because he's going to get the support that he's needed that he didn't get with Zach Robinson.
Right.
I
want to see him with a competent...
because I mean, if you break it down, look at the QB mentor program that he almost had through Vic, through Ryan, and down on the MPJ. Now that's an official narrative. He is the president of football. You can't seriously tell me that he's not going to have some sort of impact, some sort of heavy say in what's going on with that passing game, particularly given that he played that position at such a high level for such a long time. And I feel like in some ways we are put in a position to succeed because by doing that and then bringing in a QB who, I'm weary of the tag QB whisperer, but the way that he's tried his best to develop Shador even when he wasn't the starter. I mean, we could be in an interesting place here, and we could end up in taking it somewhere. Like
we get a little loose
there, but as you say, I don't feel like Penix is 100% there. What we do with him just in this period now until he's healthy again, and in this season to come, that's really I feel going to dictate kind of the remainder of. Not necessarily his career, but at least his Falcons tenure.
We get a little loose with the word QB whisperer sometimes. But what I will say, I want to see him in it with a competent play caller before I make a judgment call on him. Because we know Zach Robinson was some garbage, some hot garbage. So I want to see him with somebody who knows how to call plays before I make a judgment on. I want somebody to put him under center. Like, you're in the NFL. You got to play under center. That's period. You can do pistol, you can do shotgun, but you got to play under pistol in the NFL. I mean, under the center. In the NFL, the defenses are too good for you to just play shotgun. You can't do it. Defenses are too good for you to do that. So you got to be able to do heavy play action and all this type stuff. So I want to see him with a competent offensive coordinator. Then I make a judgment call on him. So when he come back, and this offensive coordinator, this head coach got time to break down his film and whatever. I guarantee that he doing that already. But
Mm-hmm.
break down his film and find out what kind of guy he is, then I go from there. But I guarantee they're gonna bring competition in here also. So that's what I
much
know they're
needed.
gonna do. They're gonna bring competition in here.
Much needed. And I'm with you on that. Y'all hit it on the nail on the head on that one, or hit the hammer on the nail with that one. I think Terry Fontenot and Raheem Morris, I think they did the homework on Penix. I'm not doubting that at all, but I don't think Zach Robinson did. I think Zach Robinson thought he was gonna be able to come in and just call whatever and get Penix to to perform at the way he wanted. And if you don't develop Penix needs development. And I'm telling you, I'm going to piss people off with that Penix show, because it's some things that I noticed in those 4 hours of film that is telling me that we have our work cut out with Penix. That's not saying that he can't be transformed into the quarterback that we need, but he has to be developed. He has to be shown the right way. And I think they need to take TJ Yates and make his sole responsibility is developing Penix. Get him off that wide receiver position coach thing. Make him and DJ work with Penix from till the time he gets back until all the way, even now while he's on the crutches, and through camp. Work with him, develop him, because he needs it. Because like I said, when I share it, people are going to be like, "Oh, I hadn't noticed that," but in those 4 hours of film, and I'm talking you, and I sat there and didn't do nothing but watch Penix the whole time. It's because I'm trying to figure out, will he be here? Because Dylan Gabriel is Stefanski's guy, and there's an opportunity that he may come here. Even though he's on a rookie contract.
Yeah, he's left-handed as well, which makes sense.
Yeah.
The other thing as well, what you said about TJ Yates, the rumors are that TJ Yates is going to go with Zach Robinson to the Bucks.
Well, we need somebody that's going to develop Penix.
To be 100% honest.
Yeah.
Bye. To be honest, and again, this is where I would say we needed a clear out. We definitely needed a clear out. Yeah. What I would say is, if you look at where Zach Robinson came from, he never really had a scheme, or he never seen a scheme that was centered around a rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Him going to the Bucks is probably beneficial for the way he wants to play the offensive scheme, because Baker Mayfield is a veteran QB. He'll get away with a lot more. But that was a big issue for me. TJ Yates, if I don't see TJ Yates in Flowery Branch again,
he's been here a while, so
you know what I mean. At some point, you need a clear out.
Yeah.
The other thing to look at as well is we brought on Brian Callahan, which, as far as I know, is an offensive line whisperer, one of the best in the game.
Yeah.
So again, that's beneficial. That's going to help develop. That'll be beneficial for the quarterback. It'll be beneficial for the run game. You know what I mean? There is a lot of positives that is coming out of this. But what I would say to Will, that obviously is all in is Stefanski. Don't question anybody that's been I've been a fan of the Atlanta Falcons since 2008. Probably you guys are old guard. But we always the glass is always half empty. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're just expecting everything to fall. But what I would say is the coaching. Tommy Rees, I don't know a lot about Tommy Rees. But seemingly when he did take on the play calling last year, when Stefanski handed it over, seemingly he done all right. He done well.
Yeah.
As I said, the way that you can't quit, you can't have the final say on Stefanski because of Cleveland Browns. It's the same with Penix, that you can't have a final say because he's Zach Robinson. So right. the two narratives can be the same. You know what I mean? I'm in on Michael Penix. I just think that if we support this guy, I think he could be special, right. Especially with that arm talent. Some of the throws that he's done, it takes my breath away. Some of the throws that he's done, even in an offensive scheme that I think probably handcuffed him a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So when we then give him that support, when we've got the Stefanski offense, and we bring in somebody to support him, then I think the future does look bright from my point of view.
I feel like
we saw what Penix can do
in the chat too. Like, Anti Pam saying if we could get Musgrove or someone of that ilk to be the QB coach,
I love it.
Just make sure that he's developed obviously appropriately, because as you say, there's not many people who can really stand flat-footed and bomb it 50, 60 yards. I mean, you're talking about Stafford, Favre. Then you'd really need to start thinking a little bit. Josh Allen, maybe Justin Herbert on a good day. But there's a handful of quarterbacks that are capable of making these plays. Mike can, but I feel like, as I say, a lot of it was scheme-based, expecting a rookie QB, as you say, Des, to make moves that a 6-year or 7-year pro should be making. But no, I feel like we all being considered that we are in a good place. And another thing that I feel like is great is something that I've made abundantly clear is the fact that I want more accountability from the coaches. Obviously now we've brought in Jacqueline Rodgers, who's going to be essentially, I think they're calling it now, manager of coach, like basically responsibilities. So she's going to be in charge of like what the coaches are doing. As I say, it does make me want to, take you back to last season.
She's basically like a secretary. She's gonna make sure, the interviews and stuff, when they got interviews and stuff set up, they make sure they got everything set up, like film, work, whatever. It's a secretary job, but it's just a fancy name. If you go look at her job responsibilities, you know what I'm saying? So whatever the coach need to set up the interview, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that's what she's doing.
Well,
because that does cause me concern, because what I was hoping for was be someone who would make the coaches accountable, because it made me think back to last season.
That's Matt Ryan.
That's Matt Ryan right there.
You got somebody in place for that. That's Matt Ryan.
See what Arthur Blank did with Matt Ryan. Obviously he lost the trust and things being able to run like it's supposed to be. He lost that trust. And he didn't, when he went to ask questions about what was going on, nobody had like a relevant answer that will satisfy him. So now he has a guy in place that he knows he can trust. There's no question about it. Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan is going to tell him what he needs to hear. He's not going to go into his office and tickle his ears and tell him things that to make him feel good. He's going to tell him exactly what needs to be done. So here's the thing people are overlooking too. Greg Beatles is in his year 31. It's about time for him to move on. So if Matt Ryan can get on this learning curve,
he's gonna be handling the paperwork.
Oh, he's still gonna be there. But you got to look at, most people spend 30, 35 years, maybe 40 years in the job. It's about time for him to move on. He's gonna want to retire here in a minute. Matt Ryan,
you
if
talking
he gets
about
on this
the
learning curve,
part. That's what you. Okay. I thought.
If he gets on this learning curve, Matt Ryan could actually either take over the responsibility or share that responsibility with Greg Beatles. He could do that because, like right now, everybody in that organization has to answer to Matt Ryan. Everybody, even Greg. Nobody has to make a decision that without making a decision without Matt Ryan being known about it.
Yeah, because that was my understanding.
General manager, Greg
he has Blank's right-hand man. If he wants something done, he goes, Matt, can you? Kind of thing.
Exactly. And the thing about Penix is, we definitely don't want him getting on national TV and saying again, I need help. I don't have the help that I need. And that's one thing with Stefanski and Rees, that they're hopefully, and Musgrove, like Ms. Pam said, if they bring him in here, that's definitely won't happen with Musgrove. He would definitely have the help that he needs to develop, And another thing that's going to probably be taken away is we won't have our players lashing out in tweets. That's going to be done with. I think there's going to be more of an accountability with Matt Ryan. I don't think he's going to say, he's going to put a cap on what you can and can't say. It's not going to be one of those tweets like with Drake London when he tweeted out. It's not going to be no more of the lashing out on the sideline like Drake London did with TJ Yates, even though he may have had reason to lash out at TJ Yates. that's done with. That's not going to happen no more because that went out on national TV. And that's one of the things that the Falcons have never been used to. We have never done that. Winning or losing, we've never had the drama to deal with that type of stuff. That stuff is going to seal under Matt Ryan. We're not going to – I think there's going to be more of an accountability with his staff, how that transforms into performance. Who knows? Hopefully, we hope it errs on the side of greatness, because we want the best for this football team, right? But we want the performance side of it, you know what I mean?
That was the thing that I liked, because one of his former players was asked what kind of person that Kevin Stefanski is, and he came out and said he doesn't joke. He's not really one of the kind of guys that jokes about. Bearing in mind that we've seen Raheem Morris kissing a guy in the back of the neck.
Yeah.
At half time when we've got a losing record. Absolute ridiculous garbage. So seemingly he's not he's not a kind of jokey person. It's all about the job, doing the job right.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's what I want. We all know Matt Ryan's a boss. Matt Ryan is in control of everything. Whatever Greg Beadle says or whatever, Matt Ryan is the boss. You know what I mean? And again, that gives me the confidence that in this Stefanski pick, because effectively we don't know what happens behind closed doors. We don't know what's happened in Cleveland Browns. What I would say is when you see all these coaches that are effectively knocking back, getting an interview with Cleveland Browns, it's now come out saying that they have to write a summary and write a report. I mean, just so, as I said, the fact that you can't question Michael Penix based on being on Zach Robinson's offense scheme, again, you can't question Stefanski. He lasted 6 years in Cleveland, and that's some. And the other thing I would say is that he signed an extension his contract.
Right.
You know, I mean, you're going through all that garbage, and I think seemingly last year he was told that he would get more control on player development and player choices, and then that all went out the window in the draft last year. Seemingly, that's what all happened.
Yeah. Well, with that being said, one thing I am interested in is to see what he does with Charlie Werner, because he's using tight end 2 quite effectively. This being Tommy Rees in the schemes with Harold Fannin Jr. in Cleveland. So I'm intrigued to see Charlie Werner maybe get the ball in his hands a little bit more. And that's
we will see that. Yes,
we will definitely see
that. Yeah, they run a lot of 12 and 13 personnel, so you will see more tight ends touching the ball.
Again, we said in one of the shows that the Zach Robinson offense was predictable, and then there was a few times during one of the games where Kirk Cousins threw Charlie Warner the ball. Now, people forget Charlie Warner was a pass catching tight end in high school.
Yes.
So he's just there, you know what I mean? And what I then said on one of our shows is if you want to be less predictable, don't throw it to your Kyle Pitts, throw it to Charlie Warner. They'll not expect that.
And the thing is, what teams did, he got so good because Georgia made him an all-around tight end. He got so good at blocking, they forgot about that this man can actually catch.
Yeah, exactly.
This man can actually catch the ball. So, that's what I like about Zach Robinson, man. When you had certain plays, when Tyler Algier coming out there, you knew he was going to run it because they badly threw him the damn ball. So it was just like, come on, man, you got to be less predictable in your play.
And that's why, and you're right about that. You're exactly right. And that's why I'm not afraid to move on from Kyle Pitts, because I don't need my tight end getting 1,000 yards. I need my tight end getting the right yards. You know what I mean? Because we find ourselves in a lot of third down situations, and Charlie Warner is that guy. Teagan, the other tight end that we have, he is that guy. These are third down tight ends. These are tight ends with hands, like Will said.
And even Josh Simon, as Pam says as well, like he looked pretty good. I haven't seen much of him since he came out of SC, but he was a damn good Gamecock.
Yeah, they signed him with a future contract. Yeah, so effectively we've lost quite a few players. That was the only downside to the head coach being fired. We lost Nick Nash. We lost quite a few of the players that we could have got under contract. But again, at the end of the day, it's a clean slate. It's not, as Will said about Arthur Smith, it's not a 2021 where it was effectively a rebuild, and we had probably half the 53-man squad on 1 year contracts. As Will said, we've brought in a coach, and we've got, as he called it, a Ferrari. We've got a Ferrari ready to go. You know, I mean, we just need competence. It's strange to say, but we just need competence. Competent head coach, and I mean, we should at least get to the playoffs. The one thing that worries me is the fact that the Panthers are rejuvenated. The Bucks are going to be on a mission, and the Saints, look, they're starting to come out their cap hell. So we're at a point that last 5 years when we should have been dominating, maybe even say maybe the last 3 years we should have been dominating. We've lost the years. And again, it might come to a point that next year there might be 2 winning teams in the NFC South, and maybe only one of them gets to the playoffs.
Yeah. And see, we can look at it the other way too. Baker might just be legitimately scared because we got Stefanski. He could be. I mean, but we got to wait and see on that one.
You know, man, Baker Mayfield got to lose a record.
All I'm going to say is, just repeat the point from earlier. I'm not wasting time on Tampa Bay. So if they're wasting time on us, go ahead and do that. We've got our own business to take care of, and I think it's like make your own bed before you start looking at the beds of others.
What I would say as well, Will, is the fact that probably the biggest risk is the fact that with us bringing in Tommy Rees and Stefanski, we are putting a big bet on the fact that it was Cleveland Browns and it was
that's obvious. That was obvious.
Franchise.
And
again, what I would say is these guys are coming into the building thinking we're going to show that it wasn't us. We're going to show it was them. You know what I mean? The biggest thing that people really haven't noticed is we're actually playing the Cleveland Browns next year in one of our games. You know what I mean? So that's going to be fun.
It's going. This team it's like, and I think we said it even before the season started last year that this defense is going to look a lot different, right? And that's what it is. It's looking a lot different. Here we're going to be saying the same thing about the offense. It's going to look a lot different. We're going to have some key players that are going to remain, but there are going to be some additions that are going to make this team look a lot different, specifically at the number 2 and number 3 wide receivers. You know, because there's a lot coming in out of the draft that we got opportunities. There's a lot in free agency that we can take advantage of. So hopefully we'll be able to fill the spot that we need comfortably and make this offense look a whole lot different than it did, you know, this past season, especially with the new offensive coordinator coming in. Because with this team, man, I don't see no offensive coordinator that would not have jumped to the opportunity to have been able to coach this defense. Coach this offense last season, because we had all the pieces in place. And it was a Super Bowl winning. It was a Super Bowl winning offense, and we as this coaching staff, we squandered it. The
offense supposed to have been the strongest part of our team last year.
Yeah,
and it was the defense that was holding us up. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's supposed to match every move that the defense made. The offense was supposed to counter it. I mean, we were supposed to gel like nobody's business. This offense just got wasted.
But at the same time, don't be surprised if we ain't done building this offense yet, because seeing that we're listed as the number 1 destination for George Pickens and things of that nature, I would not be surprised to see us go wide out, because I know a lot of people are maintaining that this is a weak draft class, and it depends what position you're talking about, because I feel like particularly receiver and corner this year is stacked. Like all the way down into round 3, potentially round 4, you have got team shifting quality wide receivers. Casey Concepcion, some of these guys that are down the board a little bit towards the tail end of the first round into the second. Some of these guys are going to fall, and as I say, there's no reason why we can't get, like, as I say, it feels weird being a Longhorns fan, but I'm all about those D linemen out of tech this year. So if we can get one of those boys and then double down and get a receiver, I feel like we could do worse.
Hey, I tell you what, I was watching when I was watching Penix stuff. There is a receiver, and he may go first round. We may not have an opportunity to get this guy, but the one over at USC, Makai. Got his name, Makai. But anyway, Lemon. Yes, that's his name. And that guy, you talking about somebody who will add so much to this team. If we win on that draft pick alone, because one, he's a receiver and he feels the kicks like nobody's business. He's a threat on special teams, a legit threat. I'm not talking about somebody who's just Makai London, Lemon. Lemon, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Makai Lemon. And this guy, he's one of these guys, he's not overly big of size, because I think he's only like 5'11", maybe 6 feet. But he's a hard guy to get to the ground because he is so elusive. And it's not that he's scared. He's not scared to get hit, but he is so elusive. He makes people miss in the open field. And you're talking about somebody that finds holes in the defense consistently. You know what I'm saying? And I think if he would be such an addition to this team, because I think him and Drake London would gel so much, really because they're coming from the same school, you know. But he has to be a key acquisition if we're able to get him. I'm just afraid that he'll be gone first round.
Yeah, I feel the same kind of fear for Nick Harbour. That dude is a specimen. 6'5", 235, runs about a 4'3", just insane physicals. But whether or not he's going to be on the board that's a different question.
Well, I think the other thing that people haven't really kind of spotted is the fact that we're not bringing Brian Callahan in unless we're trying to rebuild this O-line. You know what I mean? What can somebody teach Jake Matthews? I mean, you know what I mean? There's only so much. Caleb McGarry, you know what I mean? Chris Lindstrom. What else have you got to show the guys and improve the guys? That's going to be hard. He's been brought in because the O-line is aging. You know what I mean? We're getting to a point we need to start to look at adding new players into that bunch. And obviously you've got Jack Nelson, who was brought in. Brian Callahan's going to be beneficial for him as well. He's going to develop him. But you don't bring somebody in like Brian Callahan just to effectively continue doing what you've been doing. He's been brought in to rebuild that O-line.
That's one of the things too. Like you said, what more can you teach these guys? And overall, our O-line did not play like really bad, right? But you look at this O-line. This is what their year 4 playing together. I think it is the year 4. I think it is. Now, if you remember the 2016 offensive line with Alex Mack, right?
Alex Mack,
that team,
one of the best free agents.
And that's what we're trying to establish. We're trying to get that offensive line to play together, you know, as opposed to thinking blocking assignment. We want that O-line to be just like that 2016 team and thinking having each other's back, right? If you know that if the man beside you is having a hard time with his man or with that edge rusher or whatever, you speak up. You're gonna say, "Hey man, I got you on this side." You know what I mean? And that's what made Alex Mack so special. He was a voice. He wasn't there just hiking the ball. He was special. He was that guy that stood up and said some things when the offensive line came together for that Super Bowl run. And he was the key player for that offensive line because he stood.
So, Manuel, what you're saying is that good things come out of Cleveland, aye?
Oh, most certainly.
Sometimes.
I see what you did there.
That's the thing as well. That's why I love Jason Kelsey. It's the building the solidarity from the front of the O-line. Because, I mean, I've seen an interview with Aaron Donald talking, and he was like, was there any teams that you struggled against? And he's like, Philly. Kelsey and his little fast ass, he'd pull and he'd just hit me, and I'd be like, "You got good guards, let him work." He's like, "I ain't letting you ruin the game." So that's what we need from that O-line. Get the ball snapped, and you go in there together.
You know what, too? And now that you mentioned that, Des, we've had some good fortunes come out of Cleveland too. We had Julio, what's his name? The wide receiver that we got, the little short guy. I forgot what his name is. He played real good too when he came here.
Was that Taylor Gabriel?
Gabriel. We got him from Cleveland. So we have some, like you said, we got some good pieces come out of Cleveland and worked out real well with us. I wish we wish we could get even more and go out there and get Myles Garrett or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or if Pitts walks that, we
ain't
can
trying to
explore
pay
that
that ticket.
Njoku conversation again.
We ain't trying to pay that ticket for Myles Garrett.
No, we ain't
Too
trying to do that. We
too much
already in
cheddar.
purgatory, so yeah.
And that's something that we can get into next week, is some of this cap situation, because Des and I have been exploring a few different ways that we can sort of save some cap. So what we're going to do at some point next week is chop that all down, Des. But do you want to give a little caveat to that? And
yeah,
So
I mean,
just to get,
so good old AI. So I literally, I mean, I'm not going to joke and kid anybody on that I sat and worked all this out. I literally put in AI what you could do with this roster to save cap space, and it spot out that you could literally get to 70 million. If you'd done the right restructures, and you obviously look at Darnell Mooney getting released post June cut off. He saves, I think, $11 million. So all in all, you could get anywhere between $50 and $70 million. And again, now that we're actually talking about that, we maybe talk about actually the GMs.
Let's get into that. I mean, 5 interviews in the last 2 days. I've got the names here just to kind of go over it. I have my favourites, and we'll kind of chop it up. But I mean, you've got Andy Weidel coming in. Josh Williams was just today. Ian Cunningham as well. And then you've got James Lipfin, who's someone who I'm not as familiar with. And then lastly, you've got Mike Bradway out of the Chiefs. So that's sort of the 5 interviews in the last 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, I wonder why we aren't going with the obvious choice, why we haven't already made the decision. I mean, it's real obvious who we should go with.
Well, Manuel, I'm going to say
you got to think about.
Yeah.
You talking about the GM? You talking about the GM situation?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You got to think about they probably using this moment to gather information also.
What more information can you need with
not for as who you should hire, more information on how like different guys handle situations. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Guys, I'm going to jump in and say I think we've made our decision. The fact that Kyle Smith has went to the Dolphins. So Kyle Smith was the assistant general manager. The fact that he's took the same position with the Dolphins, we've made our decision at general manager, and we've told Kyle Smith that he will no longer be needed. And he's now moved to the Dolphins.
I'm assuming, I think we already got the guy we want to.
I'm assuming it's Ian Cunningham. The only issue I've got with Ian Cunningham is that the ego that Ryan Poles has. Like sniggering and all that when we took Michael Penix, that still lives in my head, and that I don't like that. I don't want our general manager to be like that. So if he's coming from Chicago and he's similar, I'm going to take a dislike to him, to be honest. I like Josh Williams. I think if you look at what San Francisco's done with some of the draft positions, and obviously Brock Purdy's the one that you jump out. Josh Williams is my favourite. That's probably the one that, as I say, I mean, and I know he's not won the Super Bowl, but and apart from our Super Bowl, anything that Kyle Shanahan touches tends to be better than bad. You know what I mean? So I just think on everything that which I'm trying to think the guy's name, Lynch. What's his?
I can't. It's gone. Sorry, that's that old age again.
I mean, he effectively. I think he's done well. I mean, obviously they brought in Trey Lance and all that, which was a disaster. But I think the later rounds they do tend to get a lot of players in the later round that end up playing well in the team. So Josh Williams is my favourite, but I think Ian Cunningham's going to get it.
I hope so. I hope so, because he has a ton of experience, and I don't think he's the type of GM that's like I think he's kind of like Matt Ryan too, had that same mentality, right? And being under Ryan Poole, he has to have that mentality of not sugarcoating anything he does. right? He does everything he does with extreme purpose and for a reason, because he helped rebuild Baltimore. He helped rebuild the Eagles. So and they did the same thing over with the Bears. So he has a ton of experience, right? So I think he's the obvious choice. I just don't like how they're stringing this along, because I think like Will said, we've already made our decision. Go ahead and just name the guy. And let's get it over. Let's get down to business. Let him get to work.
Yeah, I agree. I think as well kicked out, or
I think they're not in a hurry because we're the only one that need a GM right now.
Yeah, I was going to say
that's why they're
right.
not in a hurry. And I think it's between Ian Cunningham and that San Francisco assistant GM.
Yeah,
so both of them interview very well with Matt Ryan, and I think he holds them in high regard.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he pretty much trying to see like which one will work better with Stefanski, because you want both of them to be in sync.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But I already think they got their choice. I already think they got their choice.
Yeah, but you look at the if you look at all of those, the group that Will just put up, the one that looks like the part of this team, or shall I say the makeup of the coaches and all, is that Seifert guy. I think that's his name. Forgot what his first name was, but he looked like Stefanski if you don't know anything else. But yeah, I like Ian Cunningham, man. I think he's that guy. He's about business. He's not about smiling in nobody's face. He had that seriousness about him, and he knows the job. I mean, there's no second guessing whether or not he knows what he's doing. He's been a part of winning for a while, so I think he knows what it takes to win. I don't think he'll be that type of GM that'll try to undermine the owner. I think that what did Terry Fontenot in, right? He made a decision that everybody agreed on during the draft. He went against that decision, and it kind of threw Arthur Blank for a loop. And Arthur Blank probably just looked at him and was like, "Hey, okay, you made a decision. It better work." It didn't work, so Terry Fontenot had to go. But I hate to see that Terry Fontenot left. I hate to see that, because he does know how to draft and consider the money at the same time. Everybody questioned Kirk Cousins' contract. And yeah, he did gamble on that. He gambled on a couple of picks. But in a sense, that's all general managers do is gamble. You gamble with other people's money. You gamble with other people. You're gambling with the owner's money. So the whole job itself is a gamble. It's just that a lot of pieces that Terry Fontenot put together didn't exactly pan out. And one of those things was not saying that he named Raheem Morris the head coach, but one of those was bringing in Raheem and allowing Raheem to, bring in that squad that he brought in, those coordinators. It just went down from there.
I mean,
I think he called us great.
Yeah, sorry.
Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, from my point of view, what people forget is that most of the picks come from the scouts. The scouts go out there. They've got their choices. They've got their favorites. The scouts haven't changed. There's no difference in the scouts. So that's still the same staff there that we had last draft. So effectively, all the GM is doing is what I would say is it's going to be for the pre-season that's going to get interesting, because you look, as you say, you look at Kyle Pitts. We've only got 5 draft picks this year, and obviously no first round. So there is a potential that the new GM comes in and does a clean sweep, gets rid of Kyle Pitts, gets a couple of maybe get a second round pick for him, maybe. Tyler Algier, there's rumours he goes to the Bucks. You know what I mean? Nick Chubb.
That would hurt.
Yeah, similarly, they're looking at maybe the potential that Nick Chubb could come in, who played well in Stefanski's scheme in Cleveland. So again,
I love the narrative of bringing a Georgia boy back home as well. So there's something to be said for that.
I would try and stick with Tyler Algier, and again, I think that the issue that Tyler Algier had this year is, as Manuel and Will said, that effectively the run scheme was so predictable. When Tyler Algier was in, you knew it was going to be a run, and they literally just closed them down. It was impossible for him to do anything this year. So, but there's a potential that Kyle Pitts might be traded. We might sign him and then trade him to get a couple of picks. You know, I mean, if you're a GM and you're coming in with 5 draft picks, then you're going to either want to clean house, get some more draft picks, bring in the players that you want, or you just try and develop some of the undrafted free agents that were brought in last year. You know what I mean? So it's going to be an interesting off season, that's for sure.
Yeah, if we trim the right fat off this team, we should be able to make Tyler Algier happy for whatever he's asking. But we have to trim the fat right. You know, we got quite a few players that we can let go that can take care of Tyler Algier. And then the way I did it on paper, that by the time we get through trimming the fat, I was thinking like we'll have $50 million, right? But I saw a report, which I need to print out, that if Atlanta Falcons shed some weight, they can have upwards of $70 million, which would be crazy. You know, the way I did it, I only came up with 50 million, but I'm trying to figure out, I'm trying to dissect how they did it. We got 70 million. That will be crazy. We'll be able to keep Tyler Algier and re-sign Drake, give him what he needs, and that's not even. I don't know if they even talked about restructuring anybody's contract. I think they were just talking about trimming fat. So because we can release people like Kyle Pitts, Michael Hughes, Troy Anderson, J.D. Bertrand. Just those guys alone were close to in my book, was like $50 million. So I'm interested to see how they got that 70 upwards of close to 70 million. If we're able to do that, we can do things, irregardless of how we pick in the draft. I think we'll be able to go out and get some players in free agency and actually fill some spots that specifically that CB2 spot and be able to work on that defense. Because I think even with that CB2 spot, even if we don't get a CB2, we still got Billy Bowman coming back, right? And he's a safety, yes, but he also plays cornerback. Xavier Watts also plays cornerback. Kobe Bryant comes in; he's another cornerback. So we talking about 3 great, athletically inclined guys that can actually fill that CB2 spot. Are they shut down? We haven't yet to see that. But at the same time, we talk about 3 guys that can fill that spot and hold it down, hopefully, and until we're able to address that CB2 spot. But we have bigger needs, I think, in my book. I think we need to we need a big D tackle guy. We need a huge, big, ugly guy, big Samoan guy in the middle there that do nothing but fill the hole and stop the run. That's it. And a number 2 receiver, even a number 3 receiver. We do have Chris Blair. We still have I forgot what the other 2 receivers are, but we still have those guys. But I want a guy that can come in that can complement Drake London and loosen him up a little bit in that offense, because Drake London is a beast. I think and he needs to have a guy that complements him.
Yeah, for sure. I've seen another comment down in the comments there just saying about Brazil, who's another great wide receiver option that I'd forgotten about in that sort of second round mix. And again, that's if you want to talk about who do you cover in the red zone, if you're maintaining Pitts and you bring in Brazil, that would be 6'4", 6'5", 6'6". That you're trying to defend, which is not obviously easy to do. But yeah, Brazil brings a lot of good too. As I say, like, it's almost a question of like, how do you like your whiskey? Smooth or harsh? It's kind of, there's so many different wide receivers. It's one of the, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say it's probably one of the deeper wide receiver classes I've seen in the last sort of 4 or 5 years. How many guys there are down the board as well.
I wouldn't be surprised if effectively when you're looking at the wide receiver who potentially we're going to draft, you're looking at the 40 times, because effectively it's quite strange. We do need a Darnell Mooney type wide receiver. We need somebody that can get down the field quick. You know what I mean? So if we want to develop Penix the way we think it could be developed with that strong arm, we need somebody. We need a Julio Jones. We need a powerhouse down that
Yeah.
field. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's what made me kind of lean towards Nick Harbour, because that is your Megatron build. That combination of size and speed, like guys that big should not be able to move that quick. He's like, I feel like if he even like objectively speaking, even if he doesn't land on us, if he lands in the right scheme, he's going to be terrifying in the pros.
What I would say though is
excited
that
to see
if there's one draft that you don't mind not having a first round pick, this is the draft, because I think it's very, very average this year. So from what I'm hearing from a lot of commentators, it's very average this year. So we got our first round pick this year, last year. So
and I mean that's a great option. I mean, let's give the man his flowers along with the other flowers we have to hand out, because we did have this lined up for the tail end of the show. Because, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know it by now, there have been 3 Falcons players named for year-end awards. We're glad to have each and every one of them. So first off, you know him, you love him. Number 7, Bijan Robinson, is up for Offensive Player of the Year.
Obviously.
I mean, come on. That's the guy.
Wasn't even close.
Nah, no question.
And every single one of the other finalists were on playoff teams.
Yeah.
And then, of course, not just one nominee, but 2 for Defensive Rookie of the Year there. Xavier Watts, James Pierce Jr. Yeah, the future.
I would like to have seen the 3-headed monster. I would like to have seen the 3-headed monster, and that Jalen Walker added to it. But I think that'll change next season.
Well, I'm at the same time. With that being said, I'm not going to sniff at what was his season total? 5.5, 6. It's not bad.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
I feel like he has so much more ability off the ball as well. He's a great guy for dropping back. He can cover. He's got not quite so much length, but for being that little bit undersized, it's just the makeup.
Well, here's the thing too. When you have that much talent, the offense has to play earnest. You know, they have to play. There's no cheating. In other words, there's no double teaming James Pierce Jr. So if you double team Pierce Jr., that means you leaving Jalen Walker all type of opportunity. So it was just like Grady Jarrett. A lot of people say, well, Grady Jarrett was not a sack artist. I didn't want Grady Jarrett to be a sack artist. I wanted Grady Jarrett to keep helping other people to be sack artists. It just didn't happen because Grady Jarrett was a stout guy in the middle, believe it or not. And they double teamed this guy to the day he left. Every game, just about every play, they double teamed Grady Jarrett, man. And I want that guy to be that guy that you have to account for on every play. Jalen Walker is going to be that guy. You're going to have to account for him everywhere he lines up. You're going to say, man, where is this guy? You know, if he's over here, the offensive mindset is, okay, we got to get this guy blocked. You know, and if that happens, James Pierce Jr. is going to have a great year like he did this season. Xavier Watts, we're going to be able to bring him down in the box and get a few more sacks, or even better yet, we get the pressure on the quarterback and allow Xavier Watts to get even more interceptions. So it's a plus, it's a give and take, and you get the pressure on the quarterback, you get the interceptions. You don't get the pressure on the quarterback, if you get the pressure on the offensive line, you get the sacks. So it's like I said, double-edged sword. Hopefully, we can find a way to win at both of them next season. This defense can only get better.
What I would say is that next year we need to have a wee bit of patience because this year for the defense was phenomenal. There is a possibility that we regress a wee bit. If the first 2 games we've only took 4 sacks and the 2-2, you've seen the progress. The first 3 or 4 games, the potential was there, but again, that was the whole decision why they wanted to keep Jeff Ulbrich, because effectively, apart from Dean Pease, we had been jumping between DCs every so often, every year, you know what I mean? So there was no really any consistency there. So this gives it a bit of consistency, but we can't expect next year's defense to be as good. If it is, then phenomenal. But
yeah,
I mean, 57 sacks, franchise record. That is
that's crazy.
That is
Yeah.
unbelievable.
I just hope we don't fall into that sophomore slump type of thing. I hope that we keep this team together, that we don't lose it. Now, the only person I want to lose off that defense, J.D. Bertrand and Troy Anderson. Yeah, Troy Anderson. Those are definitely, they need to go. But Troy Anderson, J.D. Bertrand, Mike Hughes, I still want to see what Braden Trice brings. I still want to see what he got, because he possibly can move back into that linebacker spot, because he does play that too. He did play that too. So hopefully, and he has the size. So and he's pretty good on his feet. Our thing is he going to be able to stay healthy? Maybe if we move him back into that linebacker spot, maybe he will be able to stay healthy.
I would say, Manuel, is we definitely need somebody that we can effectively put in as a backup, a good backup to behind Diablo, because we've seen that. I mean, literally, he was out 5 games. We lost every game. You know what I mean? So we need strength at that linebacking role, definitely.
Yeah, I would say that too. And also, of course, it's been said a lot in the chat, just obviously in the whole narrative of the Falcons community this offseason, but I wouldn't mind getting a nose to allow Jalen Walker, James Pierce a little bit more freedom. I mean, there's a reason why you pay the Tony Siragusas or the Vince Wilforks of the world. They might not always look as glorious as other guys, but as the boys said, like, half of your contribution as a nose tackle is to just be that big animal in the middle.
Body.
And then we can use our athletes, and we do have many of them off that edge to kind of create mismatches, create problems for the defense and all that good stuff. So definitely Divine's back up, a nose, wide receiver 2, corner 2, they're all well in play. But I mean, even with 5 picks, but again, it's going to come down to kind of who we cut and all this. So essentially, it's all still just speculation. So as I say in the group chat, it's the best time of the year and the worst time of the year as a content creator, because you can speculate till the cows come home, but you're going to end up being very wrong in a lot of cases.
That's where the general manager choice is going to be important as well, because these general managers tend to put their hands out and bring in the players from the team they've came from that haven't had the effectively the responsibility that he believes they should have. So if it's Josh Williams, expect quite a couple of free agents from San Francisco. If it's Ian Cunningham, expect some players coming from the Chicago or as I say, Ian Cunningham has been with the Ravens and obviously the Eagles, so that opens that up a wee bit. But I mean, it's an important appointment, the GM, and again, that just opens up everything. What we're going to do with free agency as well. What I would say is that if you've got 5 picks, you want to effectively get some restructures going. And again, we're probably going to get into it next week. I've got between 50 and 70 million in cap space that we can free up. And I think if you're a general manager coming in, you want to free up as much as possible. I think this team is at a point that they're at a point where they can win now.
Right.
The one thing I would say about Terry Fontenot, the thing that I disliked about him is that he never, ever went all in. It always, I just felt sometimes he held back. When he could go all in. We're at a point where the general manager comes in. We're win now. This is a special team, and if we bring in the right free agents and spend the money right, I mean, it could be. Really
I think, like you said, I think he went all in on this in the last draft. But I think the decision to move on from him was made prior to that. I think the trust was already broken. I think that
Cousins and the Penix.
I think the trust was already broken with that. So, but he kind of rebounded. But at the same time, I think Arthur Blank was one of those guys that one of these business owners. You know, they look at that trust thing. You know, you lose that trust. What's going to keep you from doing something even bigger further down the line, right? And that draft was one of those things that had everybody shaking, not only shaking their head but scratching their head. Like, wait a minute, we went with Penix, and seemingly it was he had a good reason, but at the same time, everybody was like, wait a minute, you just signed $180 million quarterback. Why are you drafting a quarterback?
But Manuel, this was on Raheem. This was not.
Yeah.
I mean, Terry Fontenot takes this. This was on Raheem.
Yeah.
Raheem came out and said a story about when he was the interim head coach.
Mm-hmm.
How when he was interviewing for that show head coaching job, he said to Arthur Blank in the interview that they needed to start working on a plan to move on from Matt Ryan.
Right.
So and again, if you look back on the interviews, Terry Fontenot came out after that draft, and he looked like a deer in the headlights.
Yeah.
And if you remember, Raheem Morris was the one that was saying that was coming out and talking about it. That was all on Raheem Morris. But again, that was another issue that I had with Terry Fontenot.
Yeah.
He tended to bow down to the manager and what the manager wanted.
Yeah.
You want your general manager to have a plan in place, no matter who is there at head coach. You know what I mean? And he did. I mean, it's maybe a good thing, but he did bow down a wee bit to like Arthur Smith with the tight ends. That's how Kyle Pitts was signed. You know what I mean? And again, I think Raheem Morris with Michael Penix Jr.
Yeah. Well, see, the thing is too, if you make a decision like that, you're dead on. But if you make a decision like that, you have to have a plan. You can't just say move on from a guy, right? If you say move on from, let's just say, like you said, if you said move on from Matt Ryan, you better have a plan in place that's going to succeed what that decision, because you can't just have a guy just come in just because you want it to work and patch him with a quarterback that you don't have a plan for. Right, because there was no plan for Penix when Matt Ryan was here. Nobody even had Penix on the radar. But you wanted to move on from this guy, but you didn't know what you wanted to do or who you wanted to replace him with. Now you say, we can win now with Kirk Cousins, but that wasn't your plan. Yeah, Kirk Cousins was your escape because Kirk Cousins was a good veteran. He was that guy.
No, Marcus Mariota, Desmond Ridder, and Killer Heineke was their escape.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like I said, Kirk Cousins was his escape. That probably saved him. But you got when you make decisions like that, you have to have a plan in place. You can't just say, "Well, we need to plan on moving from Matt Ryan," and then don't have a viable plan, or even come in with a quarterback that you're willing to. Green Bay did an excellent job doing that. They had Brett Favre, then they had Aaron Rodgers, then they had Love come in. I thought Love could have came in day one, but he was a young guy, so he could sit. And that's what they should have did with Penix. Bar none, they should have let Penix sit back and learn. Who knows what he would have been today? They should have stuck to that game plan. But now you got him hurt, and I'm not gonna say it was Zach Robinson's fault, but I'm going to say it was Zach Robinson's fault.
It definitely was Zach Robinson's fault.
Yeah, and you stuck your future franchise quarterback in that position, and you haven't developed this man. The
plan was for your boy Kirk Cousins to start for 2 years. Then
that was the plan.
But he got hurt.
Yeah,
and by him getting hurt, that threw everything off the rails. And by him not telling people he was hurt because of the fucking Netflix series, then that told us even farther on down the rail. You know what I'm saying? So he never really had a chance to develop as a QB, and they really didn't give nobody. They gave once they had see what Raheem was doing, he fired the wide receiver coach for no reason.
Right.
So basically going against what. Probably telling them, "Hey man, this offensive coordinator's ass. You need to get rid of this motherfucker." Or something.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Then you take the quarterback coach that was helping Michael Penix away from him and put him at wide receiver coach. So you already making shit more dysfunctional. That's all it was. It was a whole lot of dysfunction. That's why I say I really can't judge Michael Penix until he get a competent offensive coordinator. Even though we saw the mistakes that he made, what else do we expect? He don't have nobody showing him what to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Not preparing him for situations. So
Yeah, true that.
until I see him behind
Incredible.
a competent offensive coordinator, I don't want to make no fast judgments on him. So
There you go.
this
Yeah.
gonna be the time to judge him right here. Once he got somebody who gonna be thorough with him. So
Mhm.
now I want to see what kind of player you are now. That's
Yeah.
what I want to see.
Yeah. And you know what? And the thing is, you don't need no quarterback whisperer, but you need a quarterback developer. You know, whether you have that in a head coach, whether you have that in a position coach, offensive coordinator, you got to have somebody there, especially if you got a rookie quarterback back there that's looking for answers. And, you know, and the one thing I don't like is when a quarterback, veteran or not, rookie or not, go to the sideline after a bad series and just sit on the bench. I have never liked that. I want your head talking to your offensive coordinator. I want you talking to either your head coach. I ain't gonna say head coach because the head coach got a bigger plate, but I want you talking to somebody saying, "Hey, this is what's going on out there." This is what makes people like Tom Brady good, Patrick Mahomes, even Joe Montana. When they had a bad series, they went to the sideline and they talked about it.
That was the point, though. We've been seeing quarterbacks go sit down and look at the tablet and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But the part that I was upset about, no one went over there with him.
Exactly.
No one went over there to talk to him and say, "Hey, what are you saying out there? What do we need to change up?" Nobody until he made that statement. Once he made that statement, now you got 2 or 3 people. They overcompensating now. They overcompensating for what you wasn't doing. So that's the problem.
And then you got everybody having different opinions as what's going on.
Yeah, but that's why you get asked that question, because nobody, it literally was sitting on, I think that was after the Seattle game. It was a really bad game. I think it was the Seattle game.
I think it was the Seattle game, yeah.
And literally, he was just left to his own devices. I mean, none of the coaches were coming over. Zach Robinson wasn't there. TJ Yates wasn't there. He was just left on his own. And that's why that reporter asked that question, because everybody could see he was getting left. And again, I think that's the wee things that made Arthur Blank step up and say, "Wait a minute, my starting quarterback's just went on and was asked a question about who he can turn to in this organization, and he couldn't name anybody." You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Again,
and it's funny that if you have a female. And that's not saying that a female don't know the game of football, right? Because as we talk, we got Miss Pam popping up on the chat. There's a lot of women that know. There's a lot of people that know. A lot of women that know football, right? So you have a woman reporter standing up asking a question like that. You know, most of the reporters are going to ask the right question, right? The one that a head coach or player can answer with ease. But when you ask a question like that, that means there's a problem that you see that's not being addressed. Like we see Michael Penix leave the field, go to the sideline, and just sit on the bench. It don't say, you don't do anything, don't look at the tablet. We saw the same thing happen with Justin Fields. He did it game in and game out, and now you see what has happened to him, right? Nobody was there for him. He goes to the sideline, he sit on the bench after a losing game. He go on the sideline, he sits there. The team is going to the locker room. He's still sitting on the bench. One thing you do not want your quarterback, of all players on the team, your quarterback is the captain, regardless who's the guy that goes out there to flip the coin. Your quarterback is the captain. He's that motivator of that team. Now, if your quarterback does not feel motivated to win, you're doomed already. Now, if Penix goes out there and he's having a couple of bad series and he just goes over there and sits on the bench, where is he getting his answers? Where is his support? Nobody's going over there saying, "Hey man, keep up, keep your head up. Let's get back into this game." I did not see that not one time this season, not even from Kirk Cousins. And Kirk Cousins was supposed to be that guy that mentored Penix, but Kirk Cousins didn't even go over there and was like, "Hey, keep it up." You didn't see that from nobody. That man was left out on the island by himself, and that's why he answered that question the way he did, right? So hopefully this season he'll actually be able to put into that question, he'll be able to answer without a shadow of a doubt that, hey, I got my head coach, I got my offensive coordinator, I got my strength coach, I got my my quarterbacks coach, I got all these guys helping me. I don't want him going outside the organization, naming people that's not even in the building. You know what I mean?
I mean,
it doesn't look good.
Look at what Matt Ryan has said in a few interviews before he came on board, talking about Michael Penix. He likes Michael Penix. Matt Ryan is a fan of Michael Penix. Obviously, at the start of last season, the Atlanta Falcons media got them in tow. They were talking to each other. They met up. So obviously the Michael Vick thing as well. So I think the Atlanta Falcons media are giving the support there. They're trying to get these legends in and help this guy.
Right.
But I think Matt Ryan knows that he's the guy. Arthur Blank's come out in the press conferences and said they believe he's the guy.
Right.
Who's to know that Stefanski wasn't brought on specifically to develop Michael Penix? We just don't know. So, but again, from my point of view, I think the guy is special. I think there's a lot of potential there. I think it could be our Matty Ice stroke number 2. And I think it could take us to the promised land, but he just needs, as you say, he just needs support. You know what I mean? You forget about age. It's all about having that support and being able to have somebody that you can be really honest with and air your disquiets, air your laundry in public and tell them what you really feel without getting judged. You know what I mean? I think Will's back in.
Will, but he was being honest. He answered the question with honesty, because obviously he couldn't go to his coaches and say he didn't feel comfortable enough to go to his coach and say, "Hey, man, look, I need help." You know, if they weren't smart enough to see that he needed help, then that was his only outlet, right? And hopefully Matt Ryan, being the player that he is, we know he's highly competitive, and he talked about getting back into the mix. You know, that was one of the things he kept saying in the press conference, to getting back. He felt like he wanted to be back part of the game, but he said he didn't want to be the coach. He didn't want to be no play caller. But I'm hoping that competitive side of Matt Ryan gets him back on that practice field, actually helping Penix or aiding Penix. If not for nothing else, consulting. You know, because I don't see Matt Ryan just sitting back, because Matt Ryan talked about a mission incomplete, and I don't see him just sitting back, just allowing it to happen if he sees something wrong. I see him, especially if he feel that power of, okay, now you have to answer to me. I'm going to be down here on this football field to make sure that it goes right. You know what I mean? So hopefully that's the idea and the mentality that he has. He's getting down there, being next to Penix, looking at his mechanics. Look at somebody said in the chat, looking at his footwork, because obviously he needs footwork. You know, when it gets to the point where the game gets stressful, his footwork gets completely different. So hopefully he can point out certain things that the previous regime was overlooking it or either wasn't paying attention to, that Michael Penix could work on and develop this young man right. Because obviously he is that guy. He can, and I look for him to be the franchise answer. But from the footage that I saw, he needs a lot of work. He needs a lot of work, and hopefully we're bringing in the right coaches to do that.
What I would say, Manuel, I think we'll start to see this year. I think you'll start to see a lot of the legends of the game that Matt Ryan's played with appear at training camp and on the practice field. You know what I mean? I mean, imagine you're a young wide receiver and you watch Julio Jones walking into the practice squad, into the practice field. You know what I mean? And he's helping develop. He's telling them his story, talking about how he done things, how he's seen things. That would be special for me. That's probably the one thing that's broke that we need to sort, which is mending the way with Julio Jones and getting back in the building. That's definitely one of the things that we need to talk. You look at players like Mohamed Sanu, you know what I mean? As you say, like the Alex Max, get them back in the building. Start letting them talk about how they developed, what they done, how they see the game, and just allow the young players just to be a sponge and just learn from all that. That's what I think Matt Ryan will change a wee bit.
Right. It's no doubt that Penix has that talent, right? Because we saw that at the tail end of last season when he was brought in. We saw that, but we also want to look at the fact that a lot of teams didn't have tape on Michael Penix playing at the NFL level. And now coming into this season, they have that footage now, so they were able to throw different defenses at him to either confuse him or get him to think on his feet that, something that he wasn't used to at this level. So hopefully now Matt Ryan will be that guy to help him understand what to look for on this level as opposed to the college level. Because there are a lot more defenses on the NFL level as opposed to on the college level, where that people say it's a lot faster, right? To me, football is football. You know what I mean? So you still have to train, be developed in either one, whether it's college or whether it's NFL. He's on a different level now. He needs to be taught that way, that he's on a different level. He needs to be taught how to think quick on his feet, as opposed to looking for what he's expecting to happen, as opposed to what he's actually seeing on the field. And that's one of the things that made Tom Brady great. He looked at what he's expected to happen, then what was actually happening on the field, what defense was actually giving him, and he took that. And that's what Michael Penix needs to be able to do, and do on a consistent basis, and take what the defense gives us. And I think I had pointed out in one of my other videos, stop letting the defense dictate what we do. We make the defense, we dictate what the defense do for us. You know what I mean? Take what they give us. If they give it to us, fine. But we want to get to the level where that we get so good and so powerful that that defense don't know what to do with us. We don't want to be so predictable, as Des was talking about earlier. We don't want to be so predictable that they can just say, "Hey, okay, we'll just play zone," which is one of the things that he has to work on. Penix, we just play zone, play him in zone. You know what I mean? And that's one of the things that Michael Penix has to be developed on, and that's reading that defense and reading it quick. You know what I mean? Because they can show you one thing, and then once that whistle blow, once the ball is snapped, give you another. So Michael Penix has to develop. I mean, that's what he has to develop, decipher it quick. He can get the ball out there, but he has to take what the defense give him. He doesn't always have to make the big play. And that's one thing that made I keep talking about Tom Brady, obviously, because he was that quarterback, but that one of the things that made him great. He took what the defense gave him. He didn't always look for the big play. You know what I mean? Like a lot of quarterbacks like to do now. It works for us, because we did have our Darnell Mooney, who got down the field quick, but at the same time, Michael Penix needs to, he needs to dictate the game, and that's something that he can do, because we saw that last year, and he can do it.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, I maintain that he was the most pro-ready of his QB class. But, I mean, college can only prepare you so much. There's never going to be a player coming out of college who is 100% ready to go at the next level. Everybody has those stories of welcome to the NFL, even up to the level of a Trent Williams. He talks about the first game coming out against DeMarcus Ware and getting his ass handed to him.
Yeah.
You need to learn that they're bigger, they're faster, they're meaner. And that is a big adjustment period. But yeah, I mean, a lot of the errors, as you say, they're coachable. They're not dooming at all, or damning to his future as a starter or as the franchise guy, so to speak. But yeah, I mean, if he's coached appropriately, then it brings me back to the basically what I would call the caveat to the whole show. I mean, it might be a long road, but let's get out of the bullshit. Let's get out of the attacking each other for prissy things that have no real world connection to what we're talking about. And even if the road is long, let's walk it together. Like, I know a few of the Atlanta faithful were out on this, but me and Des have always loved it, so we're bringing it back because I'm going to give you guys a little reminder, and that is that there's power in brotherhood. So yeah, above all else, fight for the man beside you. That's all I want to see, and that goes for a playing standpoint, a coaching standpoint, a management standpoint, and even here as content creators. We're never going to entirely agree. We've sat here the last 2 hours. There's a lot that we don't agree on, but we know that it comes from a place of passion, a place of love, and that's where we need to get off. We just need to be in this together.
Yeah, I don't care what colour you are. You put that Atlanta Falcons top on, then you're my brother. You know what I mean? That's it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's it.
You put that
Like a lot of people say,
you
to me,
put
Des,
that,
and
you put that Aints top on, you're my enemy. That's just simple. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's it. Like, and as I say, one of the jokes I made to Des quite early on about all this was like, people ask a lot in Scotland, oh, why American football? Why the NFL? And my answer is always the same. I just tell them I have family in the States, which to that I hold, because AFNI has been somewhat of a family this last year and change. So yeah, just to kind of thank you boys for coming on and having it out with us.
Oh yeah.
It's quite funny as well, and I'll make a wee joke that when it's coming into the combine and everything, I normally used to joke to people that this is the time of the year where I watch big black men run about a park with no top on. You know what I mean? big sweaty black men running about a park with no top on.
I tell you, people put. And I understand it too. You know, football is one of those passionate sports. You know, people go all in, and I'm one of those guys. I've been a fan since 1978, and I've never thought about going to cheer for another team. Never warranted, especially those Dallas Cowboys. But yeah, man. I mean, it is a passionate sport. People always want the best for their team, and the one thing I don't like is for somebody to be mad about how somebody feels about their team. Right, it comes, like you said, it comes from a place of passion. Right, it's no ill will towards how you think about the team, or personally, or how somebody else feels about the team. It's how that person feels about the team. Like me, as long as I'm talking about Atlanta Falcons, I will do it all day long. It's one of the reasons my wife don't like riding with me going to the store or something like that, because I'll find somebody to talk Atlanta Falcons football with, man. I mean, it'll start out tight, like small talk, but it end up being about Atlanta Falcons. And my wife hates it because she'll be sitting in the car and she'll be with her hands and lips all poked out and just be waiting on me to get finished. And I can sit there and I talk all day long. And I never hold nobody's opinion against them, because that's what it is. It's their thought, it's their opinion about how they feel about what's going on. And me, I learn from every conversation that I have. I learn from it. You know, whoever I'm talking with, big country sports. He and I talk a lot about football, right? He even calls me and we talk about Falcon football, and I like that. I love that. You know, like I said, I talk all day long. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. A lot of times I'm at work. I'm supposed to be working. I'm talking Falcon football. You know, and I mean that's what it's all about. That's how passionate I get about it. And this here is my office. You ought to see my man cave. I spent a lot of money over the Falcons on the Falcons, and it's not going to waver. It's not going to change. I love my Falcons.
That's not the man cave.
No, this is not the man cave. This is my office. This is.
There's more to come, people. So stay tuned this season.
We could talk all day about it, but unfortunately, it's nearly 11 in Scotland. So
no. As I've said to the missus before, I try to go into a Falcons tangent, and she just tells me, "You've got a show now. Go and talk to the boys. Leave me alone. I don't want to hear it." But no, as we say, we'll close things down for the night. But before we do, as I say, shout out to Will, shout out to Emmanuel for hanging with us again. Much love to the brothers as well. Pleasure. As I say, but as biggest thank you to yourselves for paying attention to us and letting us rant for the last 2 hours. Hopefully, we won't have quite so much to drag our knuckles on next time. But you're just going to have to tune in and find out. But until then, we like to wish you good night, Dirty Birds, and remind you, as always, that pain is international, but so is passion. So until next week, peace out.
Pleasure, guys.
Peace.